Virgo, I need to say something to you, and I need to say it the way I would say it. If you were someone I loved, and I could see something that you cannot fully see from where you are standing, something that concerns me about where a certain dynamic in your life is headed, if nothing changes in how you are positioned within it, I need you to hear this, not as a prediction of something inevitable, but as a warning from someone who sees what is forming and who cares enough to say the uncomfortable thing rather than the comfortable one. Welcome, and please stay with me for all of this. There is a dynamic in your life right now that has the potential to hurt you, not physically, in the specific and lasting way. That emotional hurt works when it comes from a place you did not fully see coming because you were too close to it, or because your care for someone or something was making it difficult to see clearly what was actually happening underneath what was being presented to you. I am going to describe this dynamic so you can recognize it, because the most important thing is not that I name it for you, but that you recognize it yourself in your own situation with your own full information about the specific people and circumstances that I can only see in general terms. From here, the dynamic looks like this. Someone in your life or something you are invested in is receiving more from you than it is giving back. And the imbalance has been present for long enough that it has become the established pattern rather than a temporary phase. On the way to something more balanced, the giving has been real, genuine, from the full and generous place that you give from when you care about something, which is a place that does not hold back much, because holding back is not how you love or invest or show up for the things and people that matter to you. And the receiving has been insufficient, not always dramatically so, not in the obvious way that makes the imbalance undeniable, but in the accumulated way where many small insufficiencies add up to something significant that is now sitting in you as a particular kind of tired that is not about sleep. I want to describe what that tired feels like so you can recognize whether what I am describing matches something you are currently experiencing. It feels like effort, constant and unrewarded effort, not the effort that produces something that makes the effort worth it, but the effort that simply maintains the current state of things without producing any movement in the direction of something better or more balanced or more genuinely reciprocal than what currently exists. It feels like a version of yourself that is smaller than your full self because the dynamic requires you to be smaller to fit within it without creating friction, without taking up more space than the dynamic has allocated for you, which is less space than you actually need. To be fully and genuinely yourself within any connection or situation, that is worth your continued presence in it. And it feels like a quiet knowing that something is not right. That has been present for some time, but that has not yet been acted on, because acting on it would require a disruption of something you have invested in, and that investment makes the disruption feel more costly than the continuing, even when the continuing is costing you something real in energy, in peace, in the particular sense of being valued, that you deserve to feel in the connections and situations you give your best to. Do you recognize that in your current situation, in any of the current situations that you are invested in right now? If you do, that is the dynamic I am concerned about. That is what I am asking you to be careful about. Not because the hurt is inevitable, but because the longer a dynamic like this continues without being named and addressed, the more painful the eventual reckoning with it becomes. And a reckoning is always coming for dynamics that are built on imbalance, because imbalance is not a stable state. It resolves one way or another, either by being corrected or by breaking, and breaking after a long accumulation of unreturned investment is the version that hurts most. I want the correcting, not the breaking, for you, which is why I am saying this now. Whew. I want to tell you what being careful actually means in this context, because careful is a word that can mean many things. And I want to be specific about what I am asking you to do with the information I am giving you. Being careful does not mean withdrawing from everything or becoming suspicious of everyone or protecting yourself so thoroughly that nothing real can get through, because real things require some openness to arrive and closing completely in the name of protection keeps the harmful things out, but also the good ones. And you deserve the good ones too much to close the door on all of it. Being careful means paying attention to the specific dynamic I described, the one where the giving and the receiving are significantly out of balance, and where the imbalance has been present long enough to be a pattern rather than a phase. Being careful means asking yourself in the honest and undefended way whether the investment you are currently making in whatever situation or person this is about is being met with something proportionate from the other side in the form of genuine reciprocity and genuine care and genuine interest in your well-being, not performed versions of those things, the real versions that show up in how you are treated on ordinary days when nothing special is being offered or asked for, just the ordinary texture of being with someone who actually cares about you. I want to give you something concrete now, because concern without guidance is just anxiety with a message attached. And I do not want to leave you with anxiety. I want to leave you with something you can actually do with what I have told you. The first thing, name the dynamic to yourself in the clearest and most honest terms you can manage, without the softening that usually accompanies the naming of something you have been invested in and that you do not want to see as clearly as the clear seeing requires. Say it to yourself. In whatever form the honest version takes, I have been giving more than I have been receiving, or this person is not meeting me with the care I am offering them, or I have been making myself smaller to fit into a dynamic that does not actually fit me. Whatever the specific honest version is, for your specific situation, say it to yourself without immediately following it, with the justifications and exceptions that usually arrive to soften the naming. Just say it and let it sit. The second thing, decide what would need to change for the dynamic to feel genuinely balanced, not perfect, not ideal, genuinely balanced in the specific form that would allow you to continue investing without the accumulated tired that the current imbalance is producing. What would that look like? In concrete terms, not in the vague terms of feeling more valued or feeling more appreciated, but in the specific observable form of things that would be different if the dynamic were more balanced than it currently is. Know what that is specifically before you approach the dynamic with any attempt to address it, because vague knowing produces vague conversations that resolve nothing, and specific knowing produces specific conversations that at least give the imbalance the honest chance to correct itself before the breaking happens. And the third thing, give the dynamic the chance to correct before you decide it cannot. Sometimes imbalanced dynamics exist because no one has named them, not because the person or situation is incapable of offering something more balanced, but because the imbalance was never made visible clearly enough for the other person to understand that what they were offering was not what was needed or sufficient or proportionate to what was being given. Give the naming, give the conversation, give the honest expression of what you need and what is currently missing, the real chance to produce something before you decide that nothing will change and that the only option is to withdraw your investment entirely. Sometimes that naming produces change, and sometimes it reveals that the change is not possible. In this specific dynamic, with this specific person or situation, and that the withdrawal was the right answer all along. Either way, you have the information you need to make the decision that actually serves you, rather than the decision that simply avoids the discomfort of the honest conversation that the situation requires. You made me want to say this because I see you, I see the generosity with which you invest, and I see where that generosity is currently being received by something that is not fully worthy of it. In its current form, that is not about your value. Your value is not in question here. It is about the match between what you offer and what you are receiving in return. And the match in the current dynamic is not what it should be. For someone who brings what you bring, be careful, not with your heart closed, but with your eyes open in the specific and discerning way of someone who knows their worth and is no longer willing to invest it in dynamics that do not return it with the proportionate care it deserves. The hurt I am seeing does not have to happen. It is not inevitable. It is the result of a dynamic that continues without correction for long enough to produce a reckoning that could have been avoided. If the correction had happened earlier, this is the earlier, this message right now is the earlier that I am asking you to use before it becomes the later when the correction is more painful than it needs to be. Whew. Please be careful. Not because you are weak, but because you are valuable, and valuable things deserve protection in the specific form of not being given away to dynamics that do not know what they have until the giving stops. And the absence of it tells them, let the dynamic know before the stopping through the honest conversation that names what is missing and what is needed for the investment to continue in the full and generous form that you are capable of. And if the knowing does not produce the change, then stop and let what is better suited for what you offer find its way to you in the space that the stopping creates